Alright, the next one we're doing is surface area here. This is the skill that's at the end of Geometry Foundations. Alright, so find the surface area of the square pyramid shown below. So the cool thing about the surface area of shapes is usually they're made up almost like composite shapes, but they make a different shape, if that makes any sense. A combination of different shapes can make one big shape, and in this case we have a square pyramid. So we know the base of the pyramid, of course, is square, because that's the name that comes first. So square, of course, we're just looking for area, so base times height, just like usual. So we know a square has to be equal on all four sides, so this is 4 times 4, which would give us an area of 16 for that piece. So now what we gotta notice is, well, we got 4 different sides of this pyramid here, and they're made up of triangles, of course. They meet at a peak, I believe we call that a vertice, where things meet up there. So we have a length of 4, as we can denote by this, and then a height of 3. So what we again gotta note is there's 4 of these things. So whatever we get for this value here, we need to times it by 4. So 3 times 4 is going to give you 12, and since it's a triangle, we gotta times that by, again, a half. So each one's worth 6. And if we got 4 of these pieces, we gotta do 6 times 4. And that will give us 24. So now, combine these. See, very similar to composite shapes, very similar. If we do 24 plus 16, we're going to get 40. So the total surface area should be 40 units squared. Alright, this next one is going to be find the surface area of the present. So what we got to note here is we have 2 sides, the left side and the right side here. These will be the same exact. So we know each side of this here, we can say this is basically a square box. Of course it's the present. So each side's going to be the exact same size. So we got 15 all the way around. And since this is just rectangles and squares, it's all just base times height. So 15 times 15, if we do 15 times 15, that's going to give us 225. Alright. And then, so from that, we need to know how many faces are there. How many 15 times 15s are there here? So we just did one, 15 times 15, that's this one side. We got the other side, that's over here. We got this front side, a third one. The back would be a fourth one. Let's call this, that's horrible for 3D, but let's call this like the bottom, the base, and then a top piece. So that gives us a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 total. So if we do 6 times 225, that should give us our answer. And we should have 1350. Alright, we got one last one here, a little bit different from the other one. So this one, I feel like you can net it out, and if you don't know what I mean by that, it's fold out this entire thing. It would be a lot easier. So what we can note here is the side rectangle here is 4 across and 2 high. So we can draw 2 of those. So let's call this our sides, because we know we'll have 2 of these. Sides. So whatever we get from here, we're going to multiply it by 2. So we know it's 2 tall and 4 across. Alright, now let's write these other ones here. We got a top and a bottom. We have 2.5 across. And again, we have 4 wide. So it's gonna be a little bit different, but this is our top and bottom. So let's call this TB. And we're also gonna times this by 2. So 2.5 across and 4 wide. Lastly, we got the front and the back piece. And as you can see here, 2 tall and then 2.5 across. And since we got a front and a back, as we said, we're also going to times it by 2, whatever number we get. So this is 2.5 across and 2 wide. So now let's do the calculations. 4 times 2 is going to give us 8. And now since we have 2 of these, we got to times this by 2 again, which would give us 16. The top and bottom, we got 4 times 2.5, which is going to give us 10. And again, we have 2 of them, so we're going to times it by 2 again, and get 20. And lastly, we got the front and back pieces. 2 times 2.5 is going to give us 5. We have 2 of these pieces, so times by 2, and we get 10. Now we just got to add all of these up together. So we got 10 plus 20 is 30. 30 plus 16 is going to give us 46. So 46 units squared should be our answer.